Hi guys, this is Mrs. Walters. Happy April Fool's Day. Today is April 1st, and this is one of the um, days that it's not a holiday that we like. Well, we don't have school today, but it's not anything that we take time off. It's just a fun little time where a lot of times people do pranks on each other. So watch out if you wake up and your mom puts some kind of food coloring in your milk to make it look like it goes bad or something. Anyway, I was able to go to school and I grabbed one of my books and I'm going to be reading to you The April Fool's Treasure Hunt. And if you recognize this little girl here, I'm going the wrong way, is Puxatawny Phyllis. So when we read the story about Puxatawny Phyllis for Groundhog's Day, this is the same character in April Fool's Treasure Hunt. So I want to read it to you today because I miss you guys and I miss reading to you. So here we go. Hopefully you can see all the, I gotta make sure I'm on the right. It's kind of hard to be able to see. All right. Phyllis knew everything about the weather. After all, she was Puxatawny Phyllis, weather prophet extraordinaire. So when she woke up on April 1st, the day of the spring treasure hunt, it took only one whiff in the morning air to tell her that something wasn't right. We have to cancel the treasure hunt, she announced at breakfast. There's a blizzard coming. Everyone was stunned. A blizzard, said Uncle Phil. In April? Then Phil Jr. started to laugh. You actually had me. For a second, he said. Yeah, Phyllis, snickered Pete. Not a bad joke. This isn't an April Fool's joke, insisted Phyllis, but no one paid any attention. Aunt Patsy flooded her pancakes with homemade maple syrup and passed the jug to old grandfather Groundhog. What a great year for syrup, he said. I can't remember a year when the sap has run this long. The sap is the stuff that goes down in the trees. And I know that we've talked about it before where they can put a little hole in it and the sap drips out and then you cook it and that's what you make maple syrup from. That's because winter isn't over, said Phyllis. I'm telling you, we're going to have a blizzard today. Give up, Phyllis, said Pete. If folks don't listen, Phyllis said, they'll be in danger when the blizzard comes. A bit later, Phil Jr. came in from outside. Phyllis is right, he said. It's freezing. He held out his paws to Aunt Patsy. They're like icicles, she exclaimed. We can't have the treasure hunt if it's this cold. Ha ha, I told you. April Fool, shouted Phil Jr. I used a bag of ice to make my paws cold. Very funny, said Phyllis, but everyone else laughed. A few minutes later, Pete yelled down from the mouth of the burrow. Phyllis was really right. It's snowing. Everyone rushed up the tunnel, and sure enough, a curtain of fat white flakes drifted across the opening. Oh my, said Aunt Sassy. April Fool, shouted Pete. It's only confetti. Make all the jokes you like, said Phyllis. Just cancel the treasure hunt so no one gets lost in the snow. But no one listened. The grown-ups sat in the sun outside the burrow to swap tales and sent the youngsters off to the treasure hunt. Said Phyllis, reading the first clue. It says, what goes up in the morning and down at night? The sun, guessed Cousin Jill. We can't go to the sun for the next clue, said Phil Jr. Uncle Phil's trousers, which are his pants, suggested Pete. All the little groundhogs giggled. They raced over to Uncle Phil and felt in his pockets, but there was nothing there. There must be something else, said Jill. How about the thermometer, suggested Phyllis. They hurried to the thermometer by the door of the sugar house because the temperature rises during the day and then goes back down at night. Inside, the big kettle still filled the air with sweet maple steam, even though it was April. Oh, it's nice and warm in here, said Cousin Willis. No one noticed that the thermometer had dropped below 30 degrees. All they saw was the second clue. What does this one say? Demanded Phil Jr. Phyllis read, what runs but has no legs? A clock, said Pete, but the third clue was nowhere near the grandfather clock. An engine, said Phil Jr., but no one knew of any engines in Puxatawny Hollow. I know, shouted Willis, the stream. They all rushed to the stream. There was clue number 3. A young groundhog followed the clues further and further to the treehouse, to the blackberry patch, and to the shore of the Puxatawny Pond. This must be the last one, Phyllis said. She brushed snowflakes out of her eyes to read the clue. What is sticky and sweet and found in a tree? That's easy, said Jill. They all dashed for the honey tree. There it is, shouted Willis, jumping up and down. What do you think it will be? Phil Jr. asked as he lifted the lid. It was another note, so they thought their treasure was going to be in the beehive. April Fool, you win but lose. Look again at all your clues. They can be solved, you see, with one answer, and it's me. I don't get it, said Pete. Phyllis explained. It means that there's one thing that's the answer to all of the clues. But right now we have a bigger problem. Look at all this snow. She was right. It was a problem indeed. Falling thick and fast, making it impossible to see more than a few feet in any direction. How will we find our way home? Said Willis. Phyllis looked at the little groundhogs. They were depending on her to get them home safely. How was she going to do it? All Phyllis could see was swirling white and something flapping in the wind against a nearby sugar maple. The sap line, that's it, she cried. Everybody, stay with me. So if you notice, the trees that they have a line where the sap is, and it has like a little rope, and it goes to their burrow. The groundhogs clung to the sap line. Phyllis led the way from the maple tree to the maple tree, and all the way back to the sugar house. Thank goodness you're back, cried Aunt Patsy. We should have known you were right about the blizzard, said Uncle Phil. Looks like we're the April Fools. All's well that ends well, said Aunt Sassy. But we never solved the treasure hunt, said Phil Jr. Yes, we did, said Phyllis triumphantly. What goes up in the morning and down at night? What runs but has no legs? And what's sticky and sweet and found in a tree? Sap! The treasure is right here. Sure enough, in the back corner of the sugar house was another treasure chest. Phyllis lifted the lid eagerly. It's empty, she cried. What? All the groundhogs crowded around to look. April Fool, shouted Phyllis, and she tossed handfuls of maple candy in the air for everyone to share. So again, just like in the Groundhog's Day one, Puxatawny Phyllis was correct about the weather, right? She knew what was coming on. Well, I'm glad that when I look outside, it looks like it's not going to be a snowy day today for us. So hopefully you guys can all get outside at some point and enjoy the fresh air. Spring is hopefully in the air. And I also hope that you guys are reading some fun books every day. Even if I don't assign them, I hope you're finding some fun ones. And we'll try and connect again this week and see how you guys are all doing. All right. I love you. Miss you. Bye, guys.